All right. Well, the campaign for Vice President Kamala Harris is coming under fire. According to Axios, the campaign has been altering news headlines to appear in her favor. The headlines have appeared on Google Ads and paired with a paid for by Harris for President banner. Now, they were changed without the knowledge of these news outlets. So joining us to take a closer look at this is Rice University political science professor Mark Jones. Mark, this is a confusing issue because you see what looks like to be a news headline. It does have that little small disclaimer, but people might not realize what that means. So what are the ethical implications of a political campaign altering these headlines, these news headlines, without the knowledge of the news organization or the news outlet?
Well, the Harris campaign's in a gray area where many advertisers often are, but since this is a presidential campaign, there's a heightened focus on it. What she's doing is technically in compliance with Google's rules, but as you mentioned, while it does say sponsored and it does say Harris campaign for president next to it, it implies that these headlines were the ones that were actually written by NPR or USA Today or CNN, when actually they've been rewritten by the Harris campaign to be more favorable, along with some text that's associated there. And then the link takes you to a real article. But the implication there is that these media outlets are more supportive of the Harris administration than they actually might be.
And the people who see these ads pop up on their web pages might not even notice that it is, paid for by the Harris campaign. So are there any legal consequences for a campaign that changes these news outlets' headlines in any type of way?
Well, we're going to have to see. Came out recently, and so we'll have to see how all of these outlets react to this. I think they're going to be critical of it, one, because it's using their intellectual property in a way that they didn't intend. And then also many of these outlets are already sensitive to complaints by Republicans that they're already biased in favor of the Harris campaign. So this sort of pushes the needle a little more towards that side.
Do you think this could backfire on her campaign?
I don't think it can backfire on her campaign. Well, I think if there is an effect, it's likely to be is that Google will restrict her ability to do this in the future, or that this will be seen as a warning shot, and the Harris campaign will simply stop engaging in this practice of manipulating the headlines to make them appear more favorable for the candidate.
Has this type of tactic been used by other political campaigns in the past that you know of?
It's been used in other campaigns, not at the presidential level, and it's not something the Trump campaign's using, but it has been used by campaigns before, and it's very common in the advertising world. So this is something that actually is not infrequently used. It's a crossover of marketing for products, goods, and services to the political world, where we're a little more sensitive because of the concerns about misinformation.
Man, we are seeing a lot of political advertisements, though. Anytime I open YouTube, it's like another presidential political ad from the Harris campaign and just all over the place. How do you think that this particular form of using these headlines of sponsored by the Harris campaign and changing the headline compares to more traditional forms of advertising?
Well, it's effective because it associates more positive messages about Harris with the positive media brands of the USA Today, CNN, NPR, and other outlets. So I think it was a smart move by the Harris campaign. We'll see if Google pushes back a little bit or these media outlets push back a little bit on this practice.
All right, Mark Jones, thanks so much for that insight. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.